So excited for the Cheltenham Festival here on Racing TV. The race I always look forward to is the Queen Mother Champion Chase on the Wednesday. 2 miles, horses and riders going lickety-split. It is such a spectacle. Margeborough is a very short price favourite to this time round, and Le Dessous, I think, jumps really well at Cheltenham and could put Margeborough to the test. I don't think all of the jumping errors have been completely ironed out, despite a monster performance over in Ireland at the Dublin Racing Festival. So I do fancy Le Dessous for the Skeltons in the Champion Chase, and also fancy Gordon Elliott's mare in the Champion Hurdle, and that is Brighter Days Ahead. I think she's fabulous, and I think she's going to take the feature on day one. Have a great festival, everyone, and good luck.
My main fancy for the week at this stage is Cocktail de Van, who goes in the Jack Richards Novices Handicap Chase, or at least I hope he does anyway. He does have the option of the Brown Advisory, but I think they'll go down the handicap route with him. He's got a handicap mark of 150. I think that really underestimates Cocktail de Van. He's been beaten over fences earlier on in the season by Romeo Coolio and Oscar's brother. When he was beaten by Oscar's brother, he was only outstayed by him over 3 miles, which is why I think they'll opt for the shorter distance race. And then back in trip last time out at Leopardstown, he absolutely bolted up. His jumping is really good for a novice chaser. I think he's quite a lot better than that mark of 150. He might even be a Grade 1 horse over fences for the future. He was 4th in a Grade 1 novice at Aintree last season over hurdles, but he's making up already into a much better chaser. I do think that handicap mark really underestimates him, and his jumping will stand him in very good stead for the Cheltenham Festival next week.
I'm a sucker for a veteran, and I love Bob Ollinger. They don't come classier than him, do they? Unbeaten at the Cheltenham Festival in the past, and I think he's the one to beat again in the Stayers Hurdle. He won the race last year. Yes, he's a year older now in the veteran stage at the mighty age of 11, but he has got innate talent, and his second behind Tiupu over Christmas was a marvellous run, given that he probably needed it. Henry de Bromhead has said that he is back to his very best, and for me, it's big, bad Bob Ollinger in the Stayers.
Cheltenham just around the corner, really looking forward to it. Probably not as much as Dan Skelton. He's got a really strong team going to war with. I like in the Paddy Power Stayers Hurdle, Cabral de Mathon. He's the horse at the time of recording, the only horse I've backed anti-post. He was good at Haydock first time out, winning a handicap of 140. Stepped up in class in the Rel Kiel, absolutely bolted up. I suppose he's got to prove if he will stay. I think he will. I think he's a high-class horse with Paul Nicholls last year. I think the way he's been brought through, I think he's a horse we're going to hear a lot more about, probably over fences next year. But in the Paddy Power Stayers Hurdle, hopefully Skeltons will be on the mark with Cabral de Mathon.
The Irish have a real strong hand in this year's Fox Hunters, of course. Wonderwall won it last season for Sam Curling is one of a duo of runners for him. But I'm going to go with Martin Brazel's Panda Boy. He was a smart handicap chaser. He hit the crossbar on a couple of occasions in valuable handicap chases, most notably the Paddy Power. I've been really impressed by him since he went hunter chasing. He was good at Thurles, and I thought even better when circumstances played against him here with a lack of pace. He had to do all the front running himself on his most recent start at Naas. He'll have plenty of pace to aim at. He'll love the ground. He's relatively lightly raced for a 10-year-old, and Panda Boy, for me, for Martin Brazel, to land the Fox Hunters.
Cheltenham is just about upon us. The great festival comes round, and opening day, Champion Hurdle, the big race of the day. Looking at a small field, just a single-figure field this year, but I think we might get a bit of an upset. Alexi, who won here very impressively in the Greatwood Hurdle in November, should get a decent pace to aim at, clearly likes the track. There's no standout performer against him. He should give us a good run for our money around the 20-1 mark. Alexi for me in the Champion.
My best bet for the Cheltenham Festival is got to be one horse, and that is a solid, consistent horse at the top level. It's Tiupu in the Stayers Hurdle. What more do you need to know about him? He won this in 2024. He was mugged by Bob Ollinger in this race last year, and I think with a slightly different prep, and a prep where he really had to battle against Ballyburn, and then he kicked Bob Ollinger into touch over Christmas. He's had that desired break that Gordon Elliott likes to get into him with Jack Kennedy back on board. I think he's going to be tough to beat with a slightly more conservative ride in the championship race.
A race I always look towards is the Grand Annual, which is being ran on the Wednesday, the race after the Queen Mother Champion Chase this year. And it's always very competitive. You've always got to find one that might have a few pounds in hand. And in the John Joe and AJ O'Neill trained Highlands Legacy, I think I've found one. If you go back 3 starts, he bumped into Mambo number 5, who then won a Grade 2 on his next start. Glenn Gooley was 3rd. He won the December Gold Cup on his next start. Jour de Vejon was 5th. He won 3 times after that. And then you go back to 2 starts ago at Newbury, where he bumped into Mighty Bandit, who was in unbelievable form at the time. He's won twice since. The 3rd, to my memory, was Lookaway, and he went and won the Ladbrokes Trophy at Kempton. So the form couldn't be working out any better. He's got a mark in the low 130s. John Joe and his team have won this race in recent years with Sky Pirate, and I think at 10-1, he's a pretty good price.
My best value bet for the Cheltenham Festival is Slade Steele in the Jack Richards Novices Handicap Chase. Just think he's an underrated horse going back to the Cheltenham Festival. He's the Supreme Novices Hurdle winner from a couple of years ago. He hasn't won yet over fences, but there's been mitigation. He's been running on soft ground generally. He was brought down the one time he got better ground, and then last time at Navan, 3 miles on soft to heavy ground up the hill at Navan. He just got outstayed in the end. He'll be dropping back and trip to the intermediate trip for the Jack Richards Handicap Chase. He should be better suited by the better ground. He's 1 for 1 at Cheltenham. He's got a chase mark now of 146. That's £5 lower than his Irish hurdles mark of 151. And I think that going back to Cheltenham on the better ground, back and trip, I think he could go well.
Well, probably the race I'm most looking forward to on the opening day at the Cheltenham Festival is the final event. It's the National Hunt Novice Handicap Chase. I'm really keen to see whether Wade Out can provide the champion jockey Sean Bowen and his boss Ollie Murphy with their first winner at the big meeting itself. He won, of course, at Cheltenham earlier on in the season. I think this race was immediately nominated as his target afterwards. He has been beaten in the intervening period at Windsor, but I actually thought he ran a fair bit better than the bare form might tell you that day after, making quite a big move mid-race. The step up in distance, I think, will be a help, particularly when it comes to his jumping, which isn't always the most fluent. And I think the drying grounds will be a plus as well. Cheek piece is set to be on for the first time. I reckon Wade Out's got a great chance of winning the finale on day 1 at the festival.
My nap for Cheltenham comes pretty early on the first day in the 3rd race. Saratoga in the McCoy Contractors Handicap Hurdle. This is the race formerly known as the Fred Winter. It's the Juvenile Handicap. This is a horse that comes out a race at Naas last time that's produced plenty of winners in the past of this race, and it's also a race that's been dominated for the last 8 years by Irish trainers. I don't think he's chucked in off a mark of 130, but he was a very good second in that race at Naas about a month ago. The front 2 well clear of the 3rd. Porrig Roach won the corresponding race at Cheltenham about 4 years ago with Brazil. The JP McManus colours, of course, been well found in the market, but I'm still hoping there'll be a bit of juice left in the price. Saratoga, Mr. Brune's nap in day 1 at the Cheltenham Festival in race 3. Fingers crossed for a great week, everybody.
I'm really looking forward to the Cheltenham Festival, and 2 races on the Wednesday really take my eye. There's a link between the 2 races as well, and the first much more difficult than the second. The Bet MGM Handicap Hurdle. Storm Heart, he's going to be favourite for this, and I think he could end up being a short price favourite. The key and the link with the following race is the Triumph Hurdle won by Magebra. Storm Heart went off favourite for that, and for a while looked like he might win, but eventually faded to be 4th. But that was still, I think that was one of the strongest Triumph Hurdles there's been. And since then, he's been fairly lightly raced, but he's won 2 races very easily this season, and I think a mark of 151 underestimates his talents by quite some way. He will be favourite. Obviously, he's a Mullins horse going to be ridden by Paul Townend, but I think he could be yet another Mullins blot in this race, and I expect him to shorten up. I think he's currently a top price 7-1, and I fancy him strongly for that race. And then Bet MGM have also taken over the sponsorship of the Champion Chase, and we've got a much more straightforward selection here. Magebra, on his run in February, his win at the Dublin Racing Festival, to me looks an absolute certainty. He got it all together for that race. He might have won the Arkle, but for making a big mistake 2 out. That's the only chink in his armour I can see. He's odds on. He has to be odds on. I think he could be the afternoon's short price banker for punters on the Wednesday afternoon for the other MGM sponsored race.